Okay, everybody, I am going to start letting you in. Thank you for coming in. We have a lot of content to cover. So I am going to go through this fairly quickly, but hopefully it's going to give you a general idea of what to expect during this process. My name is Giselle Carson, and I am the lead immigration attorney at Marks Gray. And we look forward to working with all of you through this CAP season. Now, Danny is helping me in the chat. Actually, she's helping me in the chat, and she's also helping me with the slides. So when I say, Danny, move the slides, advance the slides, whatever, that's what's going on. She's helping me in the background, and you're going to actually see her in a little bit. So go ahead, Danny, go ahead and move to the first slide. All right, this is what we're going to cover. And actually, let me back up and say thank you to all of you that send ahead of time some of your questions, the things that you want to learn during this presentation, because that helps me, direct what I'm going to tell you. So we're going to talk about the H1B basics, the CAP, the lottery. I know some of you may be here for the first time, and you know nothing about the lottery and the CAP and all of this. Some of you, this may be your second time or your third time through this lottery. So I'm going to try to accommodate the variety of levels of knowledge. Okay, so again, the basics of the H1B CAP, the lottery, the timeline registration. Many of you asked about the timeline, notification selection, remote work, CAP gap, employment and travel, consular processing. Next slide. All right, this is our amazing Marks Gray immigration team. That's me at the top. And then Danny right now is my co-panelist on the controls. She's the glue that keeps us all together. Actually, she may be the first kind of direct contact that you have with us as part of the H1B process, and I'll explain that as we go further. Priscilla is one of our immigration paralegals, and actually some of you may be working with her. Ellen is also an immigration paralegal, and so is Tyra. Depending on who your employer is, what we try to do is we try to keep the paralegal with the employer so that there is some continuity in communications and other things, basically to make it as sufficient as we can for all of us. Next. Okay, so this is just a little bit about me. Some of you may know me from before, some of you may not. I have been practicing U.S. corporate immigration for 20 years, hard to believe. Oh, Danny's going faster than I am, or somebody is. Our core practice area is corporate immigration. We do not do, immigration field is very large. We don't do anything but corporate immigration and compliance. We work directly with the employers so that we can provide you with opportunities for work visas and green cards. I'm also an immigrant, born in Cuba, immigrated to Canada, then to the United States. And in my spare time, I am an endurance athlete. I have completed 5 Ironmans. I'm going to be doing my 21st marathon in March. And I also love to dance. So I've done some Dancing with the Stars competitions as a fundraiser. So that's a little bit about me. And on my copious spare time, I also wrote a book about Beyond the H1B because I know that that's such a big topic to give you opportunities to, if you're not selected, what else is there? So that's what prompted that book. And I use my energy, passion, and experience to help you all. And so the team that you just saw on the prior slide. So next. Okay, now I want to make sure that you stay engaged with me. It's very easy to disengage because of the virtual world that we're in. So here's 2 questions that I have for you right now. And I want you to put in the chat on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most. So you have the most, the highest level of knowledge, which H1B cap, which maybe some of you are there, I don't know. But pick a number, whatever you think you're at, between 10 and 1, 1 being practically no knowledge about the H1B cap, and 10 being, pretty savvy. And also, how anxious are you about this process? Again, 1 to 10. So give me the first number. It's going to be your level of knowledge H1B cap. So it should look something like, I don't know, 7 and 3, 6 and 4, whatever. Okay, cool. I see some numbers coming in. Thank you. Come on. This is for you. I want to make sure that we're in this together. Show me that you're paying attention. Cool. I see some highs, some lows. Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay. I want you to remember that number because I'm going to ask you this question again at the end. Hopefully, the anxiety will go down. The level of knowledge will go up. We'll see. Okay, next. Okay, so here we're going to talk about the basics, the cap, the lottery. I'm going to go fairly quickly through this. Next slide. Okay. The minimum requirement is a bachelor's degree or higher. Mostly, if not all of you, have a bachelor's or a master's or higher. So that's checked for all of you. Working in a specialty occupation, most likely that's the case for you, even though that's kind of one of the issues that we get the most requests for additional evidence from USCIS. Now, some of the questions that I receive asked about whether it is an employer-based, employer-specific petition, and it is. So the H1B is linked to your employer. You could transfer to another employer, but that is not, they would have to start a whole process again. Initially, it is issued for 3 years, and then there is another 3-year extension. And once you get to a certain level on a green card process, extensions beyond 6 years become almost unlimited. So, but that's for another PowerPoint, not this one. Part of this process before we file with USCIS is obtaining a labor certification. So don't think that when you send documents to us that we can just, bunch them all together and file. There is many steps behind the process that you don't see. And you have your own jobs to do. And our job is to make your day job easier. And we handle the immigration piece and bring you in and out as necessary. Okay, but just know that labor certification needs to be filed. It takes about 7 days to be certified, and then things need to be signed, postings need to be done. So there's a lot behind the scenes that you don't see. The H1Bs become effective October 1st. So if you are selected and your petition is filed, you are not going to be in H1B status until October. Okay, and some of you ask questions about what happens in between. And there's something called a cap gap. Basically, it fills that gap. And we'll talk about that in one of these slides. Okay, and then the H1B also comes with the ability to sponsor your dependents. Okay, next. Okay, the cap and the lottery. Some of you asked about what is the total number and how does the U.S. Masters work? So here's the answer. The total number of H1B caps available is 85,000. That has not changed for many years. It used to be higher than that many years ago. We have fought every year to get that number increased. Congress is deaf to this particular issue. There has been no movement whatsoever, regardless, considering the fact that we have had lotteries for many, many years, showing that there is a need to have more than 85,000. But 85,000 is what we have. The way they are split is 65,000 includes everybody. That's the U.S. master's and the bachelor's degree. And then there is a separate 20,000 that are for those that have U.S. master's degrees, okay? The way it works is that if there is more than 85,000 petitions filed, which again has been the case for many years, a lottery happens. And the lottery, frankly, it is random. The way it works, and that's why we have these little numbers in here, when your registration, which is the new process that we've had for the last 3 or 4 years, when your registration is filed, is given a number. And then when USCIS runs their lottery, an electronic lottery, basically they pull that number and they match it with your registration. Now, there is 2 lotteries within this one lottery. And I put that in red because in 1 year, we had 3 lotteries, and I would explain to you why that happened. And that was when USCIS was getting used to this new system of registrations. Actually, we may have had 2 years that we had, like 1 year we had 2 lotteries, and another year we had 3. But I think those days are gone. What normally happens, and what I expect is going to happen this year, is that we will have 1 lottery that includes 2 lotteries within it, okay? That first lottery within that big lottery will include all the registrations filed. And when all the registrations have gone through the lottery and they select the first 65, they will run another lottery that only includes the 20,000 to select the 20,000 U.S. masters. So if you have a U.S. master's degree, you will be entered into the first lottery for the 65,000. And if you don't get selected then you will be entered into the second lottery for 20,000 U.S. masters, okay? All right, next. Okay, so this is what has happened over the last few years, and well, not over the last few years. I can put the whole history here, but this kind of gives you the idea. So last year, USCIS received the highest numbers of H1Bs since at least I've been practicing. I've been doing this for 20 years. And they got over 480,000 again to select 85,000. Now, this sounds extremely scary and you kind of go, oh my God, what are my chances? Well, many of those get those so those are registrations, not necessarily petitions filed. And what happens is some of those registrations are done incorrectly. They never get to be filed. They never file the petition, or if the petition gets filed, it gets denied. I mean, that 44,000 whatever, you can probably take like, I don't know, at least 25% out of that, because those are numbers that really never become a viable H1B. But the reason why we're not going to have, I believe we're not going to have more than the one big lottery at the beginning, is because now what's happening is USCIS is selecting more than 85,000. So last year, in the initial, after the first lottery, they selected and they put aside they put aside 127,000 registrations, and they drew the 85,000 that finally got their petitions out of that. So they have plenty of backups. So if someone registered, was selected and didn't follow through or whatever, they had another, whatever, the difference between 85,000 and 127 stash that they could pull from. So there was no need for more lotteries. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. I tried to explain this as best as I could, but it's all stuff that happens behind the scenes, and we only know after the fact when some of the numbers get released. Okay, next. Okay, let me do a check out there because I'm going into a new topic. Many of you asked about the timeline and the registration and the selection, blah, blah, blah. So give me on the chat that you're here with me. So give me a thumbs up, give me a yes, give me a yes, I'm paying attention. Okay, come on, your turn. Okay. Okay, yes, okay. Awesome. Okay, thank you. All right, back to the normal schedule. Timeline. So here's the way it looks. We have preparation. This is what's happening right now. This is your first stage of preparation. And then, actually, I'm going to go into more detail of that, but we do what we call due diligence. We want to make sure that you have all the documentation that is needed. The employer is on board. They also provide us with all the documentations that we need, all this kind of stuff. That's what happens during preparation period. And that's happening right now until March 1st, which is when supposedly the registration will happen. USCIS as of today has not released those days, but that's kind of what we expect. Then registration happens. And that is between your employer and us. You really don't have any part of it. Your employer has created a My USCIS account. And if they haven't, we will guide them through it. Once they create that registration, they do something called a handshake where we exchange passwords. And that allows us to go in and create your registration and file it, okay? After we file your registration, we are going to get basically a notification that says the registrations have been filed. We are probably, and I'm going to show you later on, or at least talk about it, we have something called, it's a software case management system that allows us to track your immigration cases and what is being done. What we're probably going to happen is we're going to put your registration within that software so that you can go and see that your case has been filed, your registration has been received. Okay. Then literally so registration happens for about 17 days or so. We're expecting somewhere between March 1st and March 17th in that ballpark. And then soon thereafter, USCIS runs their lottery, typically on a Friday afternoon or some crazy time where it interferes with everybody's weekends. And then the notifications will start getting to us and to your employer. And I'm going to go into that further. Then you remember that LCA that I said to you that needs to be filed. For those of you that got selected, and so we have a selection notice for you, we will file your LCA. That's kind of like the next step that we need to do. Now, for a few of you, we may file that LCA even before you're selected. But it is tricky, and I don't want to file LCAs until you are selected, except for in some situations, and I'll talk about that. And actually, there's at least 2 of you in that situation on the call. Then while the LCA is being certified, we're going to be working with you, your employer, us in creating your petition, preparing it for filing, and then off it goes to USCIS. Okay. And we have from lottery selection to USCIS, actually shouldn't even, I guess I should say USCIS filing. We have 90 days. That's why it's so important that we're doing this right now. Okay, next slide. Okay, so again, March 1st to March 20th, somewhere in there. Registration via USCIS, My USCIS employers, foreign nationals. Many of you asked, what do I do? So here are the things that I need you to start doing. Make sure that you have a passport that is current. And if it's going to be expiring in the next 6 months, you need to start getting on it to get it renewed, because your registration is linked to your passport, okay? So this is the first thing on your checklist after this webinar. Go look at your passport, go look and see if it needs to be renewed. And if it does, it's something that you need to start working on very quickly, okay? The next thing that I want you to start thinking about is the strategies for OPT, STEM OPT. Some of you are going to be selected. Hopefully, if I had the magic wand, I will give all of you the selection notices, but it doesn't happen that way. So for those of you that have an STEM OPT option, that is golden, okay? So you need to start finding out if your degree, and not all degrees, even though they may be a STEM degree, they may not be eligible for a STEM OPT. But if you are, you have to take advantage of that. And some of you may have some of you may be on a TN or maybe on some other visa, which will continue to carry you through this process, okay? Plan for no travel, and I put that in capitals because after we file your registration until October 1st or later, there's no traveling abroad, okay? And premium process, I get this question asked a lot. Oh, if I file premium, actually, in fact, your registration would be, you would be selected before premium comes into play. But premium, many people think, well, it's gonna give me my approval, this, the other, and I use premium very, very strategically. One is a lot of money, $2,500, that your employer is not required to pay, so they may ask you to pay for it if you really want premium. And sometimes you receive just an unjust RFE because you're asking USCIS to work a little quicker for more money, and that doesn't work on their vocabulary very well. And most important of all, remain flexible and responsive, okay? As we speak here today, we have not received anything from USCIS as to what the lottery will look like this year. So we are constantly just looking at what's coming next. What do they have in their minds that we can prepare and pass on to you. Right now, all we know is that it should look very similar to what it did last year. So that's why I'm doing this for you, to start giving you some knowledge and peace of mind as to what's ahead. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is another slide. You will get the replay, hopefully we can get them to you next week or by the end of this week, but you can take a picture of this if you want, because this is, again, something else that you're going to need to work on. The first thing, remember when I said that Danny may be the first person that directly works with you on these cases? So you will receive a link to an electronic questionnaire for you to complete. That questionnaire is on our Blue Dot database. And basically, we need your address, your full name, just your data in general, your passport number, this, the other. That's what the questionnaire is about. And in that database, you're going to be asked to provide certain documents, like a copy of your passport ID page, a copy of your visa page. Somebody actually emailed me about their visa, their passport being stolen or lost or something to that effect. They have a new passport now. The visa stamp obviously was on the passport that they don't no longer have, but they have a copy of that visa ID page, and that's good enough for now. So if that's you, go ahead and send us a visa, a copy of your visa page. Electronic I-94, some of you may know what this is, some of you may not know. Actually, electronic, yeah. So electronic I-94 is, you get it through CBP, and it provides you with your last entry and a status. If you don't know what it is or what to do, do not worry. We will get it once we get your passport. In most cases, we can. Then, very importantly, because we can only get it through you, is your educational credentials, your diplomas, official transcripts, any translations that you may have had already done from your diplomas and official transcripts will be helpful. And some of you may have had prior academic evaluations completed by a U.S. accrediting agency. And if that's the case, again, you can send that to us. If not, don't worry. For my 20s, all, and especially the most current, they need to be signed. So many times we get I-20s that are, it's previews that you get or something, but they need to be signed. Employment authorization document, which many of you have, front and back, again, all and current, and an updated resume, okay? So this is your homework from this workshop, okay? So Danny's actually putting something on the chat for you, okay? All right, next, Danny. Okay. I think I covered some of this already. The registration period ends towards the end of March, and then soon after that, USCIS conducts the lottery. How will you be notified of the selection? Okay. I put this in red because I want to be fair to all of you and your employers, okay? Some of you, we are working with your employer, and there may be 20 of you, there may be 15 of you, there may be 3 of you. And it's not fair for us to just tell you, oh, by the way, you were selected, and then the next person doesn't know. So, and they don't get released all at the same time. It's almost like a sprinkle, and it sometimes is like over a 5-day period. So we will not, please don't reach out to us asking us if you were selected, because we are under an agreement with your employers that we're not going to tell you, okay? So your employer will get an update from their My USCIS account, which is the same one that we get. And we will start collecting and tracking who was selected, and we will share that with your employer and compare with what they have. And it's not until your employer tells us that it's okay to tell you that you were selected, we will not do that, okay? Again, it's just to be fair to everybody and to have some sort of control over the process, okay? Okay, so once we get notification that you were selected, and again, you may have friends that are going to start posting, and I got selected, and this and the other, and you're going to start worrying. Believe me, I've been doing this long enough. It is a trickle effect. And sometimes when we think that we're not going to get any more, we get one more. So we just kind of flexible, slow, patience. That's kind of the motto through this process. After we get the notification of selection, then again, remember I said before, we have 90 days to prepare a package, file LCA, all of that kind of stuff. Okay, next. Okay, checking in again with you all. Give me a yes. Are you with me? Come back to me if you're not. Okay, one more. Okay, good. All right, remote work. This is something that this is a brand new slide. It wasn't a big deal before COVID, but now it's becoming more of an issue. And particularly for many of you, because you may be graduating, and well, you've graduated, but you're probably more mobile than a population like me that has been living in her same house for the last 15 years. This is really, really important that you think about if you are going to be moving anywhere and you're going to be working remotely from somewhere else after your LCA is filed. And hopefully the answer to that is no. Because, again, the LCA is filed right at the beginning of the process. The LCA drives the places that you are authorized to work. So right now, because many of you are working remotely and also coming into the work site every so often, we put sometimes the headquarters of the company or the studio or the office and your home if you're in a hybrid kind of situation, and that's fine. But if you say in October for some reason have to start working somewhere else on a long-term basis. So I'm not talking about, you have a temporary work assignment for 30 days or 60 days somewhere, that there is an exception for that. But if all of a sudden you say you're in Jacksonville, which is where I am, and you're going to start working out of Seattle, well, that's a problem because your LCA drives where you're authorized to work. And if there's a big shift like that, then a new petition needs to be filed. So this is important, okay? So just keep in mind where you're going to go, where you're going to be working from, okay? All right, I think the next slide, we're covering a lot. I know it can get complicated. I think I'm going to give you a 5-minute break with the understanding, yes, okay, with the understanding that you're going to come back to me in 5 minutes. So my clock is 2:32. You can get up, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do, check your emails, because what we are covering next is very, very important, okay? So off you go. The clock is ticking. Come back to me, 5 minutes. Okay. Counting down, we're at 7, 6, 5, 4. Tell me that you're back. 0. All right, come on, let me see the yeses, the hands up, the thumbs. Awesome. Okay, keep them coming. I want to make sure you're all back. Yes. Keep coming, keep coming. All right, Danny, let's go to the next slide. And this is one, again, that you guys asked about. So hopefully you got some stretch out there. I did a little yoga for 1 minute. All right, next slide. Okay, cap gap. How are you going to be employed and travel? Okay, questions that I get all the time. This can be confusing. Stay with me. So USCIS starts accepting petitions for those that were selected in the registration April 1st, okay? Now remember that we may only know as of March 29th that you were selected under the lottery, okay? But March 1st is when when filing opens, and then we have 90 days to file whatever many petitions, registrations were selected, okay? Now, if you were selected, so if you were selected and you have an employment authorization document that ends, say, I'm just going to say June 1st, okay? And some of you here have a whole variety of flavors of dates, but I'm picking June 1st, just makes it easy. So April 1st, we can file. June 1st is your expiration of your EAD. We need to file your H1B petition, and USCIS needs to receive it. Either ideally issued a receipt number, which can get complicated because they're getting 85,000 petitions filed at the same time within those 90 days. So it's very chaotic. I do not want to file first. I do not want to file last. But there are some of you that I'm going to need to file very, very early because your EADs are expiring very, very early in April. You are going to be our priority, and I'm going to talk some more about that later on, okay? Because again, for your employment authorization document that expires, again, I'm just picking June, if I get your petition filed and receipted by USCIS by June 1st or before the expiration of your EAD, then you're covered by this thing called the cap gap. Basically, USCIS magically allows you to continue to work and live in the United States, not travel abroad, just work and live in the United States from the end of your EAD until September 30th because of the fact that you were selected under the lottery and your full H-1B petition was filed before the expiration of your EAD, okay? So this is that cap gap. This is a gift. When I started practicing immigration law many, many years ago, this did not exist. So if you were in this situation, many of you had to go abroad and then come back in September. Okay, not a good thing, but that happened for many years. And I know you feel that this process is horrendous, and I agree, but it has been worse. So this is what we have right now. Okay, does that make sense? Do you understand how the cap gap works? I lost you all. I don't see any yeses. Okay. Okay, awesome. Okay, because this is very, very important for all of you. Okay, next slide. Okay, remember that I talked to you about the STEM OPT and the OPT. So I put in red many of the things you know, because you have been an F1 student, many of you. the OPT EAD comes with that cap gap benefit that I just talked about. The STEM OPT comes with an automatic 180-day extension, which also is a huge gift. Because again, if you file for that STEM OPT extension, when you file, then you get an automatic extension of your 180-day extension of your current EAD. And that could carry you for a long, for 180 days, which again is huge. Okay, I'm going to move on. Okay, back up. So traveling. If you, again, I've said kind of in general, with your file and pending H1B, so you were selected on the lottery, we file your petition, is pending with H1B, with USCIS as a change of status. It has not been adjudicated. No travel abroad, okay? After the H1B gets approved, but before October 1st, no travel abroad. After H1B with the change of status is approved and after October 1st, yes, you can travel abroad, and you're going to have to cancel a process to come back into the United States, okay? Again, I get billions of, I shouldn't say billions because many of you are here and you pay attention, but if you have any travels, I mean, remember, you've been waiting. This is like this. I mean, I've been there. This is like a big thing in your life. It's a big milestone in your career. The 3, 4, 5 months that you cannot travel abroad go a long way. So postpone your travels until after you have an H1B approval and after October 1st, because that's when it becomes effective. Okay, next slide. All right, consular processing. I just slightly mentioned that some of you all of you, because many of you have if not all of you have an H1, an F1 visa on your passport. Some of you may have another status, but whatever it is, after October 1st, when you get selected, when you change status to H1B, in order to come back into the United States, you have to have a visa that reflects that status. So whenever you travel next abroad after October 1st, you're going to have to cancel a process. Now, some of you are going to reach out to us and say, hey, can you help me with my consular process? We'll be happy to. And in fact, I encourage you to come back to us and ask for help. However, it is a separate process. It is not covered as part of your H1B process that we're going right now that your employers are paying for. Some of your employers will help with the consular processing fees, pay the legal fees. Some of them will not. Because of the variety, we have like 2 categories. We have one service that is called the mini service that is basically providing you guidance. So we review your DS-160, we answer some general questions that you have, we prepare you, give you peace of mind. And it's really important because I have seen, not in my cases, but I have seen I-140s denied and H-1Bs denied on their extensions because what the foreign national wrote under the DS-160 is not what USCIS had on record, because they completed the DS-160 on their own, they didn't know what to say. And whenever we review the S-160s, we're always making corrections because it should be consistent with your filing, okay? So just know that. Here's also kind of a general overview of what needs to happen. And we also have an infographic that is really nice that goes through, explains the process of consular processing, okay? All right, next. Just keeping track of my time here. Okay, Remember that I told you I'm a marathoner. I'm out in the streets a lot. In fact, right now I'm training for a trail marathon, so I'm out in kind of the bushes like this. And you are going to read, you're going to get messages from your friends, you're going to all kinds of things. Please, please, please. We want you to be able to focus on your work and not on all that stuff that is happening out there. A lot of it is noise, okay? We're here to help you. We're here to create a path for you that is as stress-free as we can. Do not get sidetracked with the noise. It's just noise, okay? Just a few months ago, there was all this noise about the increased fees. I even got caught up in the thing until I actually backed up and I started actually reading what was involved. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is not going to even touch us for the cap season. But it's so noisy that you get distracted, okay? So, in your case, it's very different than your friends, than your neighbors, than your other coworker. So focus on your case. We're here for you, okay? All right, next. Okay, now I want to put all of that you have learned into questions for you. I only have 5, so play with me. In the following days from this webinar, I will receive, meaning you, an email from Mark Scray to complete an electronic questionnaire and upload certain documents, true or false. A bonus if you tell me who's going to send you that questionnaire. Awesome! Oh my God! Oh, I love it. Okay, so you guys, I love it. So one of you, we're going to put you in a raffle, and we're going to send you a $5 gift certificate for Starbucks because you are on it. So we're going to we're going to download the chat. And one of those of you that remember it was Drew and it was Danny will get a gift certificate. Yes, I love it. You guys are on it. Next. Okay. As soon as my name is selected in the lottery, as soon as is the key words here, the Mark Scray immigration team will send me an email. Good. It is false. We will let you know in due time. Okay. Next. If my registration is selected and file as a change of status in the US, I can make plans to travel abroad. True or false? Okay, good. Next. Now this is long. Hang in there. Certain foreign workers with an EAD expiring in April or March need their H1B caps filing done in the first few weeks of April to ensure their ability to continue work. The immigration team must work on those cases first. I would want the same for me. But I know that they have my back and my case will be fully ready to be filed within the 90-day period. Slow and steady with teamwork will get us there. All right, you started answering before I finished reading, but you got it. True. Okay, last one. After I submit my questionnaire and documents, the immigration team will need a few days to review the information before they schedule a call with me to go over my individual case. Teamwork is a process of give and take. Yes. You are awesome. You are going to be, this is going to be great. Thank you so much for playing with me. And like I said, one of you will get a little gift out of this. Okay, next. All right, remember that scale, 1 to 10. How do you feel about your knowledge of the H1B cap now versus when you started? How anxious? Oh, Danny, you're going too fast. And actually, the other question is not here, but do give me that. How anxious are you now versus when you started? So remember those numbers, 7s and 8s, 2 and 3s, whatever that was for all of you. Woo! Okay. 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 Yeah, I know the anxiety. So I see the numbers that you're much more confident, or at least your knowledge has increased for some of you significantly. So that's what this is all about. The anxiety is hard because this is not it's not a friendly process. What we do is we do our best to guide you and to make sure that your filing is as complete as it can be and timely filed. And that, frankly, is, it's like they tell you have to show up to win. And if you don't show up, and if some people are doing this on their own or are working with who knows who, but we're here for you. We've been doing this for a while, and we're going to try to give you as much confidence as we can through this process. Again, flexibility is key, and you just have to, again, don't listen to the noise. That is not helpful. Okay, next. All right. I know some of you may have other issues. I saw some on the chat, but frankly, I wanted to make sure that I covered this presentation. we're going to make it on time. I have 2:54 here, and I even gave you a little break. So if you have one, again, know that you're going to get the questionnaire, you're going to upload documents. I am not going to start answering questions until we get a chance to review your documents, because the documents drive so much. Okay. If you work with us, your employers know that whenever they send me a question, my next email back is send me the documents. So we'll review what you have, and then Danny will start scheduling calls with either me, Priscilla, Ellen. We have another paralegal also on the team. And so we'll cover all of you with individual calls so that we can talk about your particular issue. But again, it's going to take us time to get through everybody, but we've got you. Okay, this is why we're starting to do this early. If you have any other general questions, go ahead and send them through this the link that Danny put in there. What I will probably do is, we have you all on a database that I will collect some of these questions that I think may be useful for many of you. And I will potentially do like another recording like this and send them your way, or do FAQs as we go through the process. And hopefully that, again, will keep your anxiety level down. Okay, would that be helpful? Did I lose you all, or are you with me still? Yes, okay. All right. Okay, Danny, one more, I think. Yes, okay. We figured we would like to see what a registration selection looks like. This is it. And I hope to see many, many, many of them for all of you. Okay, thank you so much. I love the fact that you've been interactive. I know this is going to be great. We're here for you. Thank you very much, and we'll be in touch. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.